We're all set. Go ahead.
Great, thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's Peter Hinn. I wanted to call the meeting to order. Our first order of business today is the approval of the minutes from the meeting of April 14th. Ask for any questions. In lieu of any questions, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
Bill Smith, I move that we approve. Second, Dave Brooks.
Was the first Phil Smith?
Yes,
I believe so.
Bill Smith.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
It's my favorite part of the call. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. We're not going to. You should have all received the local labor monitoring report. I'm not going to review it into detail, but I
Shoot, did I not print it?
There were no labor.
I don't think I sent it.
In,
Oh, I did.
No questions.
Great, thank you. I think I heard Greg on there. Greg, if you want to hop on here and give us a quick update on finance.
Okay, thanks, Peter. Yeah, so in terms of financials for April, we'll talk a little bit about those. You're going to start seeing a little bit more of some differences and just in fluctuation, really pertaining to the emergency loans receivable program. I also want to make a couple comments on maybe what we're thinking about 8 months. So cash is down from year end. Most of that again has to do with the emergency loan program. That accounts receivable that you see there is really the money that's coming over from Comida to administer their share of the loan program. The emergency loans receivable, you can see halfway down, about $1 million has been at this point in time through the end of April. A little over $1 million has been approved and booked. So balance sheet, again, everything else is pretty steady. That increase in accounts payable is really just some of those loans that have been approved that have not yet been paid. So a lot of timing things you'll start to see in here in terms of the financials. As you can see, the statement of activities year to date, our revenue is up, but that, again, most of that $500,000 is from the Comida that's going to be recognized as income. Our expenses are down quite a bit for a couple different reasons. A little bit of timing, but as we discussed, we're really starting to focus on some programs that may not be renewed in light of the certain circumstances. So overall, even without that $500,000 coming in from Comida, we're ahead of last year, and we're certainly ahead of budget. So all good on that front. In terms of
now joining
and prior year. The other thing that I will comment on, I think Andy maybe will comment on this too, but again, just in case anyone has questions, so we had sent a recasted budget look over the next 8 months to the exec committee for their consideration, in addition for potentially new dollars for the emergency loan program. So just so everyone knows, we looked at the budget that was previously approved by the board and put some assumptions to it, looked at what the changes were potentially going to be over the next eight months. And, I would, happy to report that based on where we are today, we're going to bring in, approximately $500,000 from bond fee income that is never budgeted. So we anticipate that those closing in 2020. In addition to that $500,000 plus to the budget, there's probably another $500,000 of programs that are not gonna be renewed this year for a variety of reasons. So overall, just at a very high level, we anticipate that, there's $1 million of plus to the budget. And that leaves us a little bit of room to be able to, we already approved the $500,000 for the first emergency loan proceed. If there's any additional loan proceed programs moving forward, we believe that $1 million will get us back to where we originally had approved, the budget a few months ago based on some adjustments and changes. So all good on that front. If anyone's got questions, we have put some documents together. If you want to see any of that, please feel free to let us know. But I think either Peter or Andy can comment on anything further on that.
So this is Phil Smith. Can I just go back to the financials for a second? I just want to make sure I understood what you were saying. So the accounts receivable showing at 430, the 500,000, that's from Comida. They haven't paid yet, right?
Correct. It was just a timing thing, Phil. We had booked it when it was the agreement, and then we just haven't got the cash yet. We have the cash as of today, but not as of 430.
I got you. Okay, good. And then the emergency loan receivable, that's $1,085,000 or 86. That's 500 from us and ultimately 500 from Comida, right?
Correct.
How about the other 85?
The other five, that's part of, that's partly from the new advance from Comida.
Lydia sent a note.
Okay, so there's been
talking about the
subsequent.
other $500,000.
Yes.
So we approved 500.
I texted it to Greg, so hopefully he'll see that.
Another 500 that was going to be funded by Comida. So there's an extra 85. Who approved that?
That's from the Comida money that's been approved. The other 500 from Comida. So Comida will have a total of $1 million.
Oh, okay, good. So I guess that doesn't show anywhere. Their approval of the additional, what will be another 500 on top of the original 500 doesn't show on the balance sheet yet, or where does it?
Correct.
Okay, so then my last question hopefully is the payables, the 449. That's what it was.
Yeah.
What is that again?
Again, so what happens, Phil? So the way we're processing these loan applications is they come in, Lydia's team approves them, they come over to Harris Beach to do the loan docs, and once the loan docs are approved, we initiate a payment. Okay, and we've been holding off on some of those payments until we get the funding. That's why you see that the increase in those payables are the approved applications, but we're waiting for the funding to pay those.
Okay, so that's like loans in process.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Other questions for Craig?
All set?
Greg, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. And Phil, thanks for the clarifying question. I'd like to welcome Anna, and I'd like to congratulate her on behalf of all the board for removing the interim status. The county executive is named Anna, the executive director. So congratulations on that, Anna. If you want to run us through our emergency program update, that'd be great.
Thank you. Thank you also for your support of this program. Lydia's team has processed north of, it's approximately 520 applications thus far. We've approved about 1.4 million in outgoing loans. And we, of course, the demand is much stronger than the resources that we have to meet the demand. But Lydia's team has been working hard to process the loans and make sure that we're supporting those businesses that need it most and that pass our vetting procedures. back, last week, we spoke to the executive committee about, unlocking an additional $500,000 from MCIDC for this program to ultimately bring it up to a total of $2 million so that we can provide loans to approximately 200 businesses in Monroe County, and bringing it up to, so it would be 1 million total commitment from MCIDC, 1 million total commitment from Comida. And that is the request that we're putting before the board this morning. So I open it up for a discussion, and if you have any questions for myself or for Lydia.
This is Joe Rizzo. I just wanted to congratulate you again, Anna, and I think this is a great, terrific effort, and glad that people took the initiative right away with this program, and it's proven to be quite a success, and a lot more opportunities to help the business community in Monroe County.
Thank you, Joe.
Great. If there aren't any other questions, I'd ask Andy if you wanted to step in and give the executive committee's recommendation.
Okay, thanks, Peter. So the executive committee met via phone, and we are recommending that additional $500,000 be approved to supplement the $500,000 already approved from the MCIDC portion of the $2 million fund in total. That's comprised $1 million of the Comida money and $1 million of the MCIDC money. The form of the loans, this is my term, they're micro loans. Business owners put in a request, they sign it personally and or they guarantee it. Repayment terms, Lydia knows the specifics on that. The purpose of the facility is that there's an absence of liquidity for the smallest of the businesses, these being targeted at businesses up to 15 employees, if I'm not mistaken. And at any rate, the executive committee recommended approval of this to the board, and that's what I think Peter's going to ask us to vote on now, if there's not further questions.
I have a question, Andy Smith. So,
Sure.
So the fund, we're gonna have $1 million in, Comida's gonna have $1 million in. Are those funds, when we make a loan, is it segregated so that you know, are we doing it that way, that our funds are funding a certain loan and Comida's are funding a separate loan? Or is it one pool? And I guess my real question is, what happens when or if these companies aren't able to pay and you have bad debts? Does it get segregated, or how's that all going to work?
That's an excellent question, Bill. I don't know how it's going to be segregated or not. We did talk about the fact that for now, the expectation is that the loans are going to be repaid, and the further expectation is that we're going to be wrestling with those loans that can't. But as far as the segregating, to be honest with you, we did not discuss that between Comida and MCIDC. And I don't know, Greg, I'll put you on the spot, but are we acting as the administrator for the bucket of $2 million, or is it the case that they are being identified as Phil's, wondering?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So all the loans are being pulled together. There is no delineation of, hey, these are Comida loans, these are IDC loans. Comida can't loan money, so we can't identify it that way. So they're, contributing over to the IDC to administer those loans. So they will be all pulled together. I think we'd be foolish to think there's not going to be any charge-offs here. I have thought about creating for all of our finance and bank professionals in the room, a loan loss reserve. I think it's hard
to come even start where that number, is gonna be. I do think we have to, give this a little bit of runway to figure out what we're starting to see here, but, I would anticipate some sort of adjustment, just from a financial statement perspective, to see some sort of loan loss reserve in here over the next, couple months as we start to get a better feel for where this is gonna shake out.
So, just one follow-up. So the money that's coming over from Comida, what's the, documentation, I'll call it, that supports that? What's the format of that contribution, let's call it?
I believe,
In other words,
I
are
don't,
they expecting to get that paid back?
no,
Oh, okay, good.
no.
That makes it all better, thanks.
Are there any other questions on, the program, increase or, the executive committee's, recommendation?
All right, I
Thank
move to approve the recommendation.
I'm seeking a second to approve and allocate the additional $500,000 to the emergency program.
I'll second it.
Thanks, Andy. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right,
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, thank you. Rachel, I don't know if you want to handle it, but, Anna, along with removing your interim status, you now get additional duties, conferred on you. And I don't know, maybe I can just handle it. We're looking for a motion to approve, granting Anna the, all check signing privileges for all MCIDC accounts.
So move, Peter Pecor.
Second, Joe Rizzo.
Thank you, Joe. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And any abstentions? I would ask for a motion to enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing, a loan application.
All right, I'll make the, motion for that.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Zach.
Was the second
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
Any opposed?
On the motion was the second Zach? Was that you?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Here. Okay, give us 1 second.